Ford family that was left after Henry Ford died all became involved in the CFR, Trilats, Bilderbergers. They're all involved up to their eyeballs. And Ford will survive. They may need some help because vehicle sales are not going to improve. They're minus 35% for the last year or so. They might improve to a minus 15 or maybe to even over the next year and a half, but they're going to go down after that.
Well, Toyota's off.
But I still think Ford can make it, and the reason why is they know how to run their finances. They know how to keep financially liquid. But they did outside the United States over the last year was sell production, no matter where it came from, at employee cost. In other words, a $32,000 vehicle could be purchased for around $25,000. They cleared their inventories. They had plenty of money, and they were able to make a small amount of money, and certainly not enough to offset the billions of losses that they have. But that's how they survived, and they paid their debt down. And the other two entities didn't do that.
Yeah. By the way, Toyota was off 37%.
Yeah. They're gonna get injured like everyone else, and WTO is going to start screaming against any company or manufacturer of automobiles to subsidize their companies. And you know that all of the Asian companies are going to get subsidized, and they've always been subsidized. And they're going to be yelling about the deal that's being given with GM and Chrysler. There'll be no end to it, and it's good because I want tariffs. And that's one way to get them. Get everybody mad at each other and the walls go up. And that's the way it should be to protect our workers in our country.
Well, I don't know. Where is the capital investment going to come from? Because, well, everything is moved overseas. What new banking system are these funds going to be made available?
If you have tariffs and the vehicle is made overseas, the same vehicle is made, let's say, for $20,000 in the United States, and it's produced, say, in Mexico or China for $15,000. When that vehicle comes into the United States to be sold, it has a $5,000 tariff on it.
Okay, so what do you do with the existing Nissan, Toyota? Who else is building cars in this country? What do you...
Well, they continue to do that,
yeah,
and they compete, but anybody who's manufacturing elsewhere is going to have a tariff to put up with. And it's not only automobiles, it's everything. And so everything will be fair traded. And that's what we need. That and Ron Paul's legislation can save us. If it doesn't happen, you're going into the streets is where you're going.
Well, I've got a funny feeling we're headed there anyhow.
Well, maybe we are. God knows the people who listen to this program are prepared. We've talked about enough.
By the way, Robbie, I was watching Bloomberg today, and I forget what stellar individual made this claim that said that unemployment is going to be about 8.5% through 2011. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, it's already at 20%. If they're saying it's going to be 8.5%, what is it going to be by 2011? 45, 50%?
Probably.
Well, that's just in keeping with, obviously, the stress test. The doomsday scenario is when, according to what we have found out, the doomsday scenario is unemployment at 10.3% and a further 20% decline in real estate prices.
Whose doomsday scenario? Because they're off almost by half on their unemployment figures.
Well, sure, but that's what they used for their stress test.
10%?
10.3%.
Jeez. Well, geez.
The whole thing is a scam. How about mark to market and mark to model? They all lied about what their assets are worth. The whole thing is not even worth the breath to discuss it.
I'm still wondering why their wheels haven't come off their wagon yet, Bob, because this has got to be...
They own the media.
Well, yeah, but they don't own everybody's individual minds. There's people around the planet that are going, we got to get rid of these characters because...
50% of the public is functionally illiterate. That's why. And it's the same in every other country. Even in Canada, 40% are functionally illiterate. In Europe, the same thing, 40%. We just happen to have more idiots than everybody else has, I guess.
David, in Canada, which percentage are you in? Are you in the 40% or 60%, David? Hello, David.
Hello, sir.
Hi. Which are you in? Are you in the ignorant 40%, or are you in the upper?
No, I'm up in the upper half because I listen to RBN.
Hey, there you go.
Hey,
there you go. John?
Yes.
Thank you. I've been positive. I've been dancing around since that interview with Christian Myers.
Oh, yeah.
With the stem cells.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bless you.
No problem.
Now, I have a question for Bob or Robbie. Back in 2005, the calls started piling up on gold and silver, and that's when it supposedly jumped from $400 up to $700. Now, I don't know if I'm accurate on my figures, but 2007, the calls started coming in on the gold and silver, and I believe that's when it jumped from 700 up to 1,000. Now, are the calls starting to pile up on the gold and silver now, where we're going to see where the government cannot manipulate it, or these guys cannot manipulate it?
Well, the last report I did about a week ago, they were building up, and they were larger than normal. What did you see, Robbie?
Well, I mean, right now, what you have, the dynamic that's taking place, is obviously we are moving away from the deflation scenario to the inflation scenario. I mean, that was basically what we saw pan out today. Was obviously people are now starting to question the Fed's ability to pull the punch bowl away in time in order to forestall the inevitable, which, I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. You can't pump trillions of dollars into the system and think somehow that inflation is going to remain in check. So today was pretty much an inflation trade, as most of the people on the floor acknowledged today.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Mr. Chapman, as soon as I get my reader this month, I'm getting a reader on my computer. I'm going to order the International Forecaster, and I won't have to worry about having somebody read it for me. And you gentlemen have an excellent, excellent evening.
Wait a minute. There's one thing you have to remember.
You do it in Braille?
Bob Chapman special. And if
Yes.
you take advantage of that, you can get a free subscription. Right, Robbie?
No, absolutely.
But how am I going to get it up across the border with Homeland Security?
Yes,
I need an address. I need to come down and visit John Stadtmiller.
Yeah. We don't ship to Canada, just so you know.
Hurry up, because I hear tell that we're selling Texas to Mexico.
You know what? all we have to do is reestablish the Republic of your country, the Republic of Canada, and then we can travel back and forth and deal the way we want.
Well, there you go. With honest money.
With honest money, gold and silver.
You know, the last time I went over to Canada, it was I was up in Detroit, and my wife had never been out of country, so I drove a couple miles over the Ambassador Bridge, got on the other side, and I'll tell you what, they took me apart like I was some kind of, $2.98 watch and put me back together. They held me up at the customs there for 2.5 hours.
I know.
And then I told them, I said, I'm just coming over here for dinner, for God's sakes. I'm not an international smuggler.
I know. It's absolutely horrible. Absolutely. And, hey, let's get rid of it.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I'd like to see the people of Mexico, David, stand up against their regime, their certain brand of robbers down there, and have honesty and fair play and get rid of the drug runners down there. I'd like to see the Mexican people just say, you know what? The heck with this crossing the border stuff. We got everything we need down here in Mexico. Let's straighten out our own house.
And that's what we have to do up in Canada. We all have to straighten out our own houses, and then we can work together.
There you go. David, I thank you for your call, sir.
Thank you, sir. Have a great evening.
Okay. What it is in reference to, by the way, I did a program this week. I think it was Monday. Or at any rate, no, last week it was. And it was on adult stem cell research. You mentioned stem cell research, and everybody has in their head that this is bad because, it's embryonic. No. They've been doing studies, Bob, I don't know if you've heard about this one. They've been doing actual clinical trials that they're taking adult stem cells, growing the things, injecting them right into the heart, and it's regrowing dead heart tissue. Same can be done with lungs, with kidneys, with livers, with pancreas. They're doing trials with eyes right now. And I said to the guy that I had on the air with me, I said, has anybody threatened you yet? Because you know how much money there is in the pharma cartel out there to keep sick people just functioning a little while longer?